Hi, welcome. I'm doing a reading, and I think I'm looking at the right, okay, yeah, camera. I'm doing a makeshift setup in my studio between clients, and this is my keyboard of the iPad that's holding my camera up. So I just felt like getting back into the swing of things. I'm not going to look at the right camera, so why I've tried. But I've been gone for essentially over a month with like maybe a week between trying to catch up. Basically, two major camping trips. And the week between was basically busy taking in all the gear, resetting it, washing it, all that good stuff to repack to go out again. So it's been a wonderful month, but that means I haven't had much time in my den to do readings. And so what I thought I could do is a collective reading for collective energies, whatever's here right now. So take what resonates and set aside the rest for some other time that it may come back around. So thank you for being here. Hope you can hear me. I think the sound is down there too. So here we go. There's the Five of Swords, challenged by the Wheel of Fortune. Immediately what comes to mind is this feeling that it feels pretty relevant lately for people who I've been in contact with, where it's like basically the nature of this is suffering and how to move through it. How to move through it. Don't even want to put an adjective there. It's because the Wheel of Fortune, it's like, yeah, it never stops. The wheel just keeps going and going and going. The only constant is change. Five of Swords is, to me, it's also a temporary idea, because the fives are kind of those, in tarot, to me, fives are temporary of a moment, sort of like suffering. But the suffering is meant to be temporary. It's not meant to last, because the only constant is change. So these things work together to, I think, provide hope and trust in the nature of constant change. Because in the midst of our suffering, like, it's meant to be temporary. So in the midst of it, what are we learning? What are we noticing? Maybe the learning even comes later, really. We're rarely learning in the moment, meaning learning, turning experience into wisdom, turning experience into knowledge, and then putting that to use to gain wisdom. That's a process that takes, who knows how long it takes. So to me, what this is saying is, it's a reminder, and it feels very, very present and relevant, at least to me and the people I've been talking with, that it's a lot of people, and I even see it pop up online now, and now that I'm going to talk about it, it's going to show up even more in my social media feeds. There are apps now for shadow work. You know, it's like, it's now coming into the collective conscious, meaning like the masses, that's what we do. We need to heal ourselves to keep going, like that, because all that's like, are we going to accumulate more suffering or try to address what's here with us right now? Because that's the nature of this world that we live in. It's suffering's happening. How do we move through it? Okay, so that's the gist of what I feel for this collective. That's the high level. Let's get a few more cards to see what else is here. What's the nuance to that theme? We have the Queen of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and the Six of Cups. That's kind of interesting to me, because let me try to turn these around in the order that I pulled them. There's the Queen of Wands, the Nine of Wands, and the Six of Cups. So immediately, I think of when I pull threes, I tend to read the middle, and it's supported by the bookends. So this Nine of Wands is another card that depicts the journey of suffering. This person's been through a lot, which is depicted by the 9 wands, and they're leaning on one of them, looking back along their journey, saying, oh my God, look what I've been through. This has been hard. They've got a little wound wrap on their head that's bloody, and they're kind of, their facial expressions, like, to me, like, it looks to me like they're gonna, like, they know they want to keep going and they need to keep going. It's like a time of reflection, maybe, that says, wow, what has all this taught me? Maybe it is the teaching moment that we started to talk about a minute ago, because we're not learning in the moment until we pause and take time to reflect. And to me, this is the next step in the process, is that what this is telling us is, yeah, it's we need to take time to reflect in order to gain that knowledge, to then use that knowledge going forward to gain the wisdom of the lived experience with that knowledge put to use, of all the suffering that happened, and how did we move through it? What did we learn by the way in which we moved through the suffering? Because each person's, like, the same event can happen to multiple people, but each person moves through that differently. And what did each person learn? By the how, by the way they move through it. So when I move through something, an event or something in my life, and then I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I could have done that a little bit differently to have a better outcome. I could have not maybe been so reactionary or impulsive, whatever it is. So this is that time of reflection. And then what I gather here is that the Queen of Wands and the Six of Cups, the Six of Cups is it's like a tenderness, like looking back in time with tenderness to heal old wounds, maybe. And sometimes that's kind of like what this card is typically about. And then when I complement it with the Nine of Wands, it's like, because we've all gone through suffering, whatever that has been, physical, mental, emotional, all of it. And this says to look back in that reflection, and looking back through the lens of tenderness and grace, because what we know now is a lived experience, having gone through it. What we know now is not what we knew then. So it's okay to say, it's okay, I didn't know that then. It's okay to give ourselves that grace, that tenderness of, almost like you would a small child. And that's what I think here. It's like this big child here. It looks like a large child. So I take that to be my present self. Like extending this gift, like the child in me extending the gift to the present me, or something like that, where I can look back at tenderness with tenderness and kind of just like the younger me, and give that gift. So maybe this person here, the present me, is looking back and giving the gift, and that child is like taking it in and feeling it and healing. So that's kind of like how a lot of shadow work is done, is by what did I wish I'd had in these moments of suffering that I didn't get, from myself, from my surroundings, from my parents, loved ones, whatever. And that's what I think of this card a lot of times. It's a card of healing, but it's in healing the past, but it's through an act or this lens of tenderness. The Queen of Wands is optimism. There's the sunflower. And she, to me, depicts or represents like the self-worth aspect. So when you tie up all together, the idea of suffering and coming into a sense of self-worth through extending yourself grace and love and tenderness, that seems to be the healing journey this is in response to this. Suffering is inevitable and perpetual. How do we move through it? By extending tenderness and grace every time we can. And it's not selfish. It's not bypassing. You know, I suppose if you keep doing the same thing over and over, that might be called bypassing. But that's not what this is about. This is actually saying, what have I learned? And how do I extend myself that tenderness, love, and grace going forward? So that is the gist of the reading. I think I'll go a little bit deeper since I think I have a few moments. And what do we want to do? I kind of want to see if there's a little bit of maybe a message for the collective about this. Like, what else is there? It feels very emotional. It feels like kind of a gift if we can do this and feel into it. It feels like something our society doesn't really like allow for, promote, honor, whatever you want to say, because we're like capitalism, productivity, individualism, like at all costs, you know. So to me, it's very emotional when we actually can pause for this moment. Because our society, our culture doesn't honor or value giving ourselves time. It tells us it's selfish. It's, you know, it's selfish, and it's not. And I feel like there might be a message here about that. That seems to be the feeling about what is it then if it's not selfish? How do we adopt a new belief system, right? Like where does that USA, you know, individual, like those of you who grew up in a country like this where it's like that's what's valued: capitalism, individualism, productivity, and that anything other than that is considered selfish and lazy. Like, what? Oh my God, there's something there, at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but that's why it feels emotional, because it's like a gift that we're giving to ourselves. It shouldn't be a gift at all. It should just be part of the air we breathe. So here we go. Here's the 3 of Wands, the 5 of Wands, and the 10 of Cups. Again, the 5 of Wands right here in the center. This is, oh my God, you know, it's so funny. I suppose I could read these however I want to read them, but it just makes me laugh because this is the card that depicts like that rugged individualism and the two sides of the coin. One that's like the ego, selfishness, and look at me and I'm so great and look what I'm doing. You know, like that's our culture, right? Like the Like, it's all about me. And the other side of that coin is, wait a minute, it needs to be all about me so I can take the time I need to work on myself and heal these shadow elements that keep perpetuating and causing turmoil in my life. So yeah, there are two sides to this coin. Exactly like we talked about. It's what's that? It's not even a balance or a fine line. It's like it's two sides of a coin. And how do we, like, oh man, something feels very dualistic about this and non-dualistic at the same time. So with that right there in the middle, telling us like this, and maybe that's why it feels so hard to navigate in our culture. It feels really hard, doesn't it? The navigating it gracefully feels hard, and truthfully and really honestly, it feels hard to navigate to me. Like, our culture is all about wanting to be seen and like coming out on top, and competition. This is the card of competition, friendly rivalry. And that's what capitalism is. It's based on competition. And how do we navigate that along with, wait a minute, I do want to focus on me so that I can become a better version of me. And so on the bookends, we have the Three of Wands and the Ten of Cups. The Three of Wands is that we're on the threshold here of looking out to say, like, yeah, what do I want? And this is almost like wanting to make a change, wanting, like, being hopeful for the future and saying, like, and how do I want to move ahead? Like, it's like a pause kind of moment saying, oh, so if sometimes dualistic things have this way of like making us pause because we're like, which way do I turn? So it's kind of like a pause moment. Like, what am I going to do? What do I really want? Because the wands are like passion, purpose, spirit energy, something meaningful. And the Ten of Cups is like our ultimate emotional happiness. Like, what do we want in life that's going to like keep, like, this is ultimate fulfillment. So what is it about, and this is the whole, I almost said it too, fill your cup first, and these are cups, but it's funny because it's like this idea of self healing that's just in a nutshell, you could say that, like, well, you got to fill your cup first before you can pour it out into the world and help others, help contribute to ending suffering. And so we do need to focus on ourselves first. It just depends, like, well, how are we doing it? Again, how do we move through these things? Because the how, we're focusing on ourselves. If it takes on a more individualistic and selfish nature, that's more contracting. It's more like scarcity mindset. It's more like gathering resources versus sharing. And to fill our cup first means we have an intention that I've got to fix this. Whatever I need to work on to feel whole again. To come into understanding my true nature in order to pour that out onto others, which is an expansive kind of energy, because I intend to create a perpetual, like, motion. What do you call that? The perpetual motion machines, perpetual energy machines, whatever it is, where you can fill yourself up to pour it out. It's like and then by doing that pouring out, it actually fills you back up when you pour it out. So to me, that's what this is talking about, is that's how we move into the future. Because this is a pause to say, like, but how? Where do we go from here? Why are we doing this? Well, complete emotional and spiritual fulfillment, whatever that is for us. So to me, that seems to be the collective energy of the moment. So thanks for coming along on this weird little whatever where I can't even tell what camera to look at. So let me know if you have any questions or want to do a one-on-one reading, or just say what resonated or didn't resonate. And I wish you all the best.